Hey, what is going on everybody? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to the vlog. Hope everyone is having a fantastic day. We have some super exciting and awesome news about the C8 Z06 today. Today is finally the day that you can build, configure, and price your C8 Z06 that you can't actually order, but at least you can now finally dream with some good visuals and pricing. In today's video, I want to go over some ordering tricks and tips. I've actually ordered 2 C8 Corvettes and purchased 3 of them now so far. And I've documented that on the channel, and there's some very important information that I want to share that everyone should be mindful of when they are speccing their C8 Z06. This is truly a fantastic car, but there are some nuances with General Motors' ordering process and policies that you want to be aware of when you're speccing this car and placing your order. So you do not want to miss this information. The big news obviously is that the 2023 C8 Corvette Z06 build configurator is now officially live, and so we can now go through and spec our coupe, our convertible, select all of our options, get the exact renders of the cars that we are going to be ordering as Corvette enthusiasts, as well as get the final pricing, which hasn't really been available in a General Motors system up until now. If you watched my video of me speccing and placing the order for my C8 Z06, you saw that the ordering sheet, even in General Motors ordering Workbench back in August, didn't even have any pricing in the dealer system. So today we're going to run through and spec my order, play around with the configurator. I'm going to point out some things that people tend to miss inside the configurator, the way it's laid out as well. And down in the description I will link the URL to the configurator for your C8 Z06 that you can now spec out. Be aware of if you choose to subscribe and follow this channel, because I like to jump on top of this information as soon as it becomes available to keep everyone in Corvette Squad informed so they can make their best Corvette decisions. So that's my little cheap plug to subscribe to the channel. Definitely consider doing so, but at a minimum, please hit that thumbs up button if you like this video, and leave a comment down below what the price is for your dream C8 Z06. Yes, leave a comment down below. I'd love to see the spread of what people are speccing, what people are preferring for options, what people are going for with a price. So first things first, you want to come into the build configurator and select the coupe or convertible. I'm personally going for a coupe. Now I've had a C8 Stingray coupe and a C8 Stingray convertible, and my personal preference for those that are curious is to the coupe given my use case. If you're dailying your Corvette, it's something you drive on a consistent basis and you live in an area where you can take full advantage of the convertible top, it's definitely worth the price. But for somebody that's looking at the Z07 package, I think my money is a little bit better spent and saved from the convertible to the coupe, given that I really drive the car to car shows and car meets and car events on the weekends. And so I don't need that power functionality, being someone that's relatively young still. I can manually lift that top for the money disparity between the two packages. So we're going to go ahead and select the coupe. You'll see that the MSRP for the coupe is $106,695. Next, we're going to go over to the trims. You have the 1LZ, 2LZ, and 3LZ, very similar in terms of what they give you for options and features between the 1LT, 2LT, and 3LT on the Stingray. You're talking 1LZ is your base car, your 2LZ is all the technology and the sound system and all the various kind of little tech options like blind spot monitoring and so on, and then for 3LZ, you're pretty much talking a 2LZ with much finer and better interior material quality and standard GT2 seats. The big thing that I love is that they are highlighting the 5.5 liter V8 flat plane crank 8600 RPM redline engine, which is truly a historic engine that I think any automotive enthusiast should be proud of. For me, I am going 3LZ because I plan on keeping this car forever, so if it's a couple bucks on the payment, 3LZ is well worth it for me, as well as it's defaulted for the 70th anniversary package, so we'll get to that a little bit later. In terms of color, all the same standard colors that you can get on the base Stingray. In my case, I'm going with white pearl metallic tricoat. You can see everything that you get with the 70th anniversary edition. The only real big change is now it includes the edge red engine cover on the coupe model, which is a cool add-on. The real reason I'm going with this package, even at $5,000, is I'm a sucker for these special edition packages. I think it gives me a talking point at a lot of these car shows where I meet a lot of people and they're curious on what the car is. It's another part of the Corvette legacy that I can speak to and be a part of. As mentioned in my previous video, I'm not going for any of the stripes because I plan on full body paint protection filming this car. But if you have the stripes, it makes it a little bit more difficult to paint protection film one piece as opposed to multiple pieces around the stripe. So I think it's best that I stay away from stripes for now. Here you can see all of the awesome forged wheel options. Obviously the Z06 only comes in forged aluminum wheels or the carbon material wheels. In my case, the wheels are pre-selected as the satin graphite forged aluminum wheels with the red ring around them, and I have to say the red ring on a moving 70th anniversary edition actually looks really cool. I'm not going for the carbon wheels. I don't think that's something that I really want. I don't think that weight savings is something that's really going to make a difference to my Z06 experience, and to be quite honest, it's very expensive. Quick thing to note about brake calipers, I think orange calipers are new. I don't recall that being a thing on the Stingray before, but don't quote me on that. I'm going with the bright red as a part of the 70th anniversary package. And then center caps, obviously 70th anniversary comes with their own version of the center caps that have the year insignia on them, so that's what I'm going to stick to, but you do get some options there as well. The interior on the 70th anniversary edition is pre-selected. I absolutely love this interior color combo on my Stingray right now, and so I have no issues whatsoever jumping into a Z06 with the same interior. But the best thing about GM is you have so many different color combinations, stitching, contrast material, two-tone, single-tone, options to spec the Z06 interior to what you feel comfortable with. I do plan on tracking this car a little bit, but not much, so the competition seats are not a huge upgrade for me. I think the GT2 seats are the absolute sweet spot, and that's what I'm going to stick with. Moving on to the seatbelts. Torch red seatbelt is standard with the 70th anniversary edition, and I think it just adds a little accent. You definitely want to go with some kind of seatbelt contrast to really make the C8 Z06 pop. And you get the suede wrap steering wheel with the 3LZ package and 70th anniversary edition, so that's going to be a really cool steering wheel. This looks much more beefier, much more bolstered. I just think it's a little bit thicker all the way around, and it just looks fantastic on the C8 Z06. In terms of packages, I tend to avoid a lot of these safety packages. I have the liner still, but the big checkbox for me is the Z07 performance package. Now, if I don't go for the Z07 performance package due to constraints, you can rest assured that I am going to probably go with the convertible with that money, but I want the Z07 package because I think it's a great value and it really makes the C8 Z06 a more aggressive car. I am going with the carbon flash painted ground effects just because I think they're a little cheaper to replace if they ever get damaged, and I'm not a fan of carbon fiber unless you do it right, and to do carbon fiber right gets very expensive very fast. So we'll go ahead and select that. It's going to prompt us for our carbon ceramic brake option, which makes the Z07 package a $17,890 option, which is actually pretty shocking for a number. But I think it's well worth the price for what you get. If you add up these individual options separately, you're going to end up right there or be over. Next up, we are moving to the options, and so this is where my big message for those speccing their C8 Z06 or Stingray is going to come in, but real quick, most people miss under options. General Motors tabs the exterior option and the interior option separate. Most people miss the interior option selection on the right side of the screen, so definitely make sure that you're selecting that and going through some of the interior options that are available for speccing this car. But real quick, let's take a step back. Read this message right here. Due to current supply shortages, certain features shown have limited or late availability or no longer available. This is very important. My advice to those speccing their C8 Z06, you're probably not going to get an allocation for months out or maybe even a year out depending on what your dealership's policies are. And so my advice is if there's something on the car that's a dealer installed accessory, don't select it right away. I had a friend that recently went through this that selected the Edge Red engine cover, and when his allocation came up, that option was on constraint. He was price protected from the June $2,300 price increase, and so what that meant is if he took a $595 engine cover off, his base price went up $2,300, so he was going to be spending $1,700 more and losing the engine cover simply because his order was being changed for a constraint. And so at least the way my dealership does it is they will submit your order the way you spec it, but before they submit it for production control, they'll reach out one more time, and I know a bunch of dealers do similar things, And at that time, I prefer to spec any accessories based on available constraints and weighing that against any applicable price protection, because most dealers and most people don't know GM's price protection policy, but from 1100 status, you are price protected for the remainder of that model year as long as you do not change or make any changes to your Z06 or Stingray order. And that change can be forced by a constraint that you would either have to wait for that constraint to be lifted or change it to get the allocation available in front of you. And it's really dumb if the constraint is for something small like exhaust tips or emblems or wheel locks for you to lose price protection over that. So if it's something that's dealer installed, I tend to like to wait until I have an allocation and weigh price protection against the accessories that I want to select. And so for that reason, I'm very picky on what I select when speccing the car between interior and exterior options. So take that with a grain of salt. That's just my tip. If you want to share this on the Corvette forum, the video, or this idea and get some conversation talk around it, I would love to see General Motors change their price protection policy, where if your order is changed for a constraint, it's not fair to the consumer or the dealership that the price protection is lost because of production constraints. If the customer is choosing to change their option or their build spec, that's one thing, but if they're being forced to take an allocation on a ultra rare C8 Z06, it's not quite fair that they lose any available price protection over a constraint option. But nonetheless, running through the exterior options, everything here looks pretty cool. You can carbon flash metallic paint the mirrors. There's a little bit of a glitch between here. If you select the carbon flash painted outside mirror with the Z07 package, you end up losing the Z07 spoiler in the render. I think that's something that's just a glitch, but Workbench will eventually confirm that to dealers when they're placing your order in the system. There's just so many options to select from. I do want to get a transparent top at some point, but for $1,600, I can own the top outright as opposed to going for $2,300 or $2,200 for the dual roof package. But again, some really cool options there. And then this is the new hash logo. I do actually really love the way this hash looks on the rear fender in particular. So this is something that I'll probably get from the dealer after the fact once the car is paint protection filmed and wrapped, and then put this over the PPF. Moving over to interior options, again, a lot of accessories to pick from. Pick anything that you think you're going to need or want. In terms of interior options for fit and finish, you can get the Stealth interior trim package or the carbon fiber interior trim package. I think the Stealth package looks cool, but I haven't seen it in person to actually decide if I want to spec it or not. As you can see here, there are two different options for carbon fiber interior. You have the option that is very reminiscent of the current carbon fiber interior option, but you also now get a level 2, which includes the center console, instrument panel, and door panels, which I think is a really, really cool option for those that are very carbon heavy. For me, I already know that some of these options are on constraint for the first allocation pool, so I'm going to wait until I know what the constraints are before checking these boxes. And just like that, we are at the summary page, and this is actually what the final price for my C8 Z06 is looking like. This is such a gorgeous and beautiful car, and for the price point, this compares with the McLaren 650S, I think, T for T, and is such a more superior car than that. This compares with the Lamborghini Huracan Evo, and as Amelia has shown us in her videos, this car is faster in a straight line and is easier to maintain, is probably a little bit more reliable, or at least easier to get parts for, and I honestly think this is a gorgeous and beautiful spec the way it sits. So the final number for my C8 Z06 spec is $147,030, which is actually about $2,000 to $3,000 less than what I estimated in my video where I placed my actual Z06 order. Sadly, we have to pay gas guzzlers tax. I again can't stress enough that I think this is bogus, because not only do we pay gas guzzlers tax on the $3,000, we then pay sales tax on that $3,000, and we pay excise tax on that $3,000, so we're being taxed on top of our taxes. But I won't get on that soapbox because this video has gotten very lengthy, so definitely check out the link in the description below. Go ahead and spec, build, configure, play around with, and dream about your C8 Z06. I'm hoping that production ramps up and everybody is able to get allocations, myself included, who was unfortunately not one of the lucky people to get an allocation in this first wave. but the optimist in me is hopeful that I'd be lucky enough to own a 2023 C8 Z06, because as you can see from these pictures, this car is phenomenal. This car is gorgeous. This is one of the best vehicles I think made in the history of automobiles for the price. I think you will never find a supercar at this price point that offers this level of performance for this value. So that's everything that I have for today's video. Definitely go ahead and hit that subscribe button if you want more information and more content. Hit that thumbs up button if you enjoyed this video, and leave a comment down below on what your C8 Z06 spec and build is looking like. I would love to know. And until the very next video, I look forward to seeing all of you in the comment section below.